campus. Professor Nash's lecture is sponsored by our Policy Studies program in cooperation with the Economics and Mathematics departments. Serving as our host today are students in the first year seminar that is devoting its attention this fall to issues related to the media. For those students and for other undergraduates in the office, I would note that Dr. Nash serves as a path-breaking example of the type of interdisciplinary work your professors and advisors here are always encouraging you to do. In his case, the fields are mathematics and economics. He definitely impressed his teachers. When he was getting ready to apply to graduate school for his PhD from the Carnegie Institute of Technology, and he solicited a letter of recommendation, it was in some ways the kind of letter of recommendation that one never ever sees. It only had in it 5 words. This man is a genius. That's all it said. And it turned out, of course, to be providential. He went on to Princeton. In 1994, he won the Nobel Prize. It is my pleasure to welcome him and all of you today, and to pass on the podium to our introducer this evening, who is Professor Nicole Crane. So please join me in welcoming her as she introduces her.
Professor John Nash, Jr. was born in Bluefield, West Virginia. By the time he was a student in high school, Professor Nash was reading the classic book, Men of Mathematics, and conducting electrical and chemistry experiments. After high school, as President Weiss said, Professor Nash enrolled in Carnegie Tech, which is now Carnegie Mellon University, as a chemical engineering major. He switched to chemistry, but again considered changing majors because the math faculty were encouraging him to become a mathematics major. They explained to him that it was, in fact, possible to make a good career in America as a mathematician. So John Nash Jr. switched majors again. So for those of you on your 3rd major, call your parents tonight. It's okay. And Professor Nash received both a master's and bachelor's in mathematics from Carnegie Mellon. Both Harvard and Princeton offered Professor Nash graduate school fellowships. He accepted Princeton's offer and as a result continued a line of thought that was sparked by an elective course in international economics he took at Carnegie, which led to his paper, The Bargaining Problem. This idea led in turn to Professor Nash's interest in game theory studies, which was stimulated by the work of von Neumann and Morgenstern. As a graduate student, Professor Nash was well prepared. He developed the idea that led to non-cooperative games, and he also made a discovery relating to manifolds and real algebraic varieties. He was hedging against the possibility that his game theory work would not be regarded as an acceptable thesis in the mathematics department, and in that case, he could use his other results for his PhD thesis. From Princeton, Professor Nash went to MIT to teach, and there he solved a classic unsolved problem. The problem was to prove the isometric embeddability of abstract Riemannian manifolds in flat spaces. He subsequently had some interruption in his research, but despite this, he published a number of articles, including an article nicknamed The Nash Blowing Up Transformation. Professor Nash won the 1978 John von Neumann Theory Prize for his outstanding contribution to the theory of games. The citation for this prize reads in part that his theory has impacted areas of operations research in management science and other sciences far beyond the formal limits of game theory. Professor Nash continued his research, and in 1994, Professor Nash won the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. The insight cited by the committee was his contribution to non-cooperative theory. Professor Nash introduced the fundamental concept of the non-cooperative equilibrium point, the Nash equilibrium, a collection of strategies by the various players such that no one player can improve his outcome by changing only his strategy. Developments from Professor Nash's idea have led to fundamental changes in a variety of fields, including economics, political science, population genetics, evolutionary psychology, and evolutionary biology. Professor Nash is not resting on his Nobel laurels, however. His research has led him to new contributions in logic, game theory, cosmology, and gravitation. Most recently, he has been considering ideal money and asymptotically ideal money, the topic of his talk tonight. Please join me in a warm welcome for Professor John Nash.